And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com. It goes without saying now. We've been doing this so long. www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Go to the app. They will deliver right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. Or head down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Get yourself some delicious chicken tenders, some fried chicken, some fries, coleslaw, fried pickles, you name it, they got it. And they will take care of you and make sure to get that awesome Galactic sauce. It's out of this world. Also, one other a quick ad today, Aaron. Here, bring us in. The trucker hats are back. Nice. 513shirts.com. When you check out, enter BCJ as your promo code, and you can get 15% off your entire order. So you can get some Red Helms merch. You can get the BCJ hoodie for football season coming up. But more importantly than the old, this was one of the first items we ever produced. They are back in stock. The Bearcat Journal trucker hat. So there you go. They're pretty great. I was at practice. We were at Higher Ground the other like Friday, I think, the last day, and I turned around and there was a guy just with the red fitted BCJ hat on. It's like Spider-Man. You.
Nice.
Plus, Mike got me set up. Look how nice and clean that looks.
It's far better than your brown hat that used to be black.
I wear them I shouldn't wear the black to practice. It should just be like, don't do that, because the sweat, it just doesn't handle well, but that's okay. Let's get to it, Aaron. We are done with camp. The team is back on campus. They will they continue. It's like an extension of camp this week, because they won't really get into like full game prep until next week for Eastern Kentucky. We'll be there. I think Tuesday and Thursday are open this week, so we will have some access to practice this week to get people information, and then it's game week. It's we're 13 days from kickoff.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, just finally. I mean, but.
Look, this is your second time like grinding through a summer, man. Like,
yeah.
Like when you get to like July, like you get past 4th of July, and you're like, all right, it's like it's right there. Like I can see it. It's right there. And then those weeks just
slog.
Yeah, it takes forever to get through camp, and now we are almost there. Big BBP tomorrow. We will get one final visit from Nico Palizzetti before the football season starts. We probably won't see him again until after. So it'll be good to get his take on Higher Ground, his take on where everything's at as we get ready to get into the season. So looking forward to that tomorrow night on the BBP. But I thought this would be a good time, Aaron. Nobody covered practice like us. That nobody had more eyes and ears on the ground, boots on the ground, practice reports, great stories from Keegan, videos, multiple videos every day. You were there. Brent showed up. Dave was there a couple times. Dan Simon made an appearance on Friday, maybe. I don't know. Cannot confirm nor deny those reports. Reagan was there. We are yoked up in terms of the information here on camp. So I thought this would be a good time to kind of discuss something, which is, have your expectations changed? Because that's, what we talked about going through the offseason. Need to see what camp looks like. Need to see like where these guys are at, because they didn't leave a great impression, especially offensively, during the spring.
Correct.
Now, granted, a lot has changed since then. You have a couple new offensive linemen. You have a couple big-time playmakers at wide receiver that have joined the fold. Emory Jones is a lot more comfortable in the system. Brady Drogosh and Brady Lichtenberg a lot more comfortable in the system. So I will start with you, Aaron. Are your expectations different now than maybe they were 3 weeks ago? As we sat here, 3 Sundays ago with the start of camp upon us. Now that we're through that phase, have your expectations changed? Has your level of, I don't know if level of excitement is the right thing, but I think you get my point. Like,
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I had no faith in the offense after the spring game. I was very nervous about what this team was going to look like offensively. And I think we all had a pretty good idea that Brian Brown and this defense, as is currently built, we're not going to have a ton of issues making that transition in the new coaching staff. And we expected it to be good. I think that this defense has the opportunity to be not good, but great. I don't think it's going to quite be what we saw in the college football playoff run 2 seasons ago.
Sauce Gardner's in the NFL. So
correct.
It's not going to be that. It's not going to be as great as that.
That said, though, I think that you do have some sauce type pieces along that front seven. And I think I think that Dante Corleone has a chance to be excellent. And
yeah, that's fine. But like number 4 pick in the draft, most dominant defender in college football. No.
I just mean, I think that
I know what you're saying.
I think that he has the opportunity to be every bit as important as Sauce was and to be as disruptive as Sauce was.
It's just so different. Like it's temper that. He can have a great impact, but how are teams going? Are teams sending 2 at him? Are they sending 3 at him? Is it like it's not the same as we're going to put our corner out there and whoever you have out there is no longer playing football for you today. Like I just think I want to like temper that a little bit, because even if he's dominant, it can go a little bit more unnoticed or like underrepresented, underhyped, because he's in the middle of the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
There's so many bodies. They're like Sauce was legitimately on an island.
Yeah.
We're leaving him out there. There were teams that were like changing their entire offense to like get their best wide receiver as far away from him as they could.
But I think you're going to have teams changing their offense to make up for the fact Dante is disruptive.
Yeah, well, and I'm not discrediting how disruptive or great Dante can be. I'm just saying it's different for a skill guy than it is, you're going to see teams just say, okay, like we're using a center and a guard on him. Now, he's quick enough and good enough that he can beat that. But, and it impacts so many other things that the naked eye won't see when you're trying to account for teams trying to neutralize him or take him like away from the action or out of the play. So I'm not poo-pooing on what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it looks different for a defensive tackle than it does an outside corner. And again,
it's apples to oranges. I understand.
Yeah. So just adding context, but I don't know that you're wrong. I don't know that you can do it as dominantly from nose tackle, as Sauce did from one of the, elite positions now in football.
I also think that it's very encouraging for this defense that Deshaun Pace looks like Deshaun Pace looked like 2 years ago.
It looks way better. Like this fit for him in that role, he is going to eviscerate people that try to run plays into the flat against him.
It's been a great it's been a great couple of weeks for the Pace brothers in football.
Yeah. Deshaun looks great, and he looks good in coverage. He looks good playing in space. He looks good blitzing. He looks good, destroying the screen game and plays, as teams try to spread you out. He is a heat-seeking missile. His ability to close in those situations where the ball's only in the air for like 4 yards, right? The quarterback's just floating a little ball out into and all of a sudden Deshaun and the guy's just laying there wrecked. And you're like, oh,
what the hell just happened?
He held up. He didn't even hit that guy hard. Like he just kind of bumped into him, and it would like imagine full speed what this looks like. That's the thing that I always love about Deshaun. He doesn't have practice speed. He plays at game speed. He's at game speed. There's not a lot of guys like that.
Yeah. But going back to offense, though, obviously the need and desire for an upgraded wide receiver room coming out of spring that challenge was met, and I think it has exceeded everyone's expectations in what we've seen. I think that the running back room has a really good chance to be really deep. We knew that, but I think that some of the order of players maybe has changed a little bit than we initially thought.
But still, Miles and Corey 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Going into spring ball, going all the way back to going into spring ball, those were our expectations at 1 and 2. But that all said, Emory Jones, now we know we've known since the end of spring when Ben transferred to Northwestern. Sure. But we've really seen Emory start to fill in this offense and make it his offense and not just a part of the offense. And I think that Emory's got a chance, especially with the upgrades that were made at the wide receiver room, some of the tight ends stepping up, that one name we didn't even know.
Michael McCalmont, who? What?
Right. So I don't know. I have, and the offensive line has produced enough in camp against what could be the best defensive line in the entire conference. They've produced enough that I don't have the same fears, and just I've raised the bar and expectations for this offense. So I'm not sure I'm ready to move the floor and ceiling of this team being 6 wins to 8 wins this season. I think that's where I've been pretty steadfastly since the end of spring. Yeah. That said, I feel better about it than I did. I think I was talking myself into 6 and 8 being the floor and ceiling, and now I feel pretty strongly that this team is going to be. I think that anybody who has them at 4 wins or below is taking crazy pills.
See, I still you just never know how sideways something can go. So while I think 4 is less likely, you never know in college football anymore. In terms of and again, this is also a season where the margin is going to be this thin because everybody is at about the same talent level. You're eliminating those games where you go in and you're more talented. I don't think they're going to go into any Big 12 game this year and have a significant, as wide. Think about how wide the gap was in 2020 and 2021 between UC and most of the conference. I'm not ruling out that things go south and they lose a bunch of close games. But I do think I'm more confident than I was going into camp that this is likely a bowl team, and maybe a bowl team comfortably. I don't think 9, 10, 11 wins is in the cards for this team. But I do think getting to that 6, 7 range is going to be very doable. The question, I think, still remains, Aaron, I think we are. Here's where I think we're confident. I think we're confident that the offense has enough talent to be solid.
Mm-hmm.
I think the question becomes, how long does it take for them to become cohesive? How long does it take for them to not have, a 2-quarter scoring drought, where they go 3 and out a couple times and the run game isn't, clicking yet. I think that's going to be interesting to see, like, at what point in the season does the offense really like find a rhythm? Because I am confident, especially, you look at that starting offensive line. John Williams had a really, really good camp. You know how I know John Williams had a really, really good camp? Because they didn't write his name down a whole lot. D'Artagnan Tinsley at left guard is a guy I can from some of the conversations I've had, he's the guy the NFL scouts. Who's that guy with the super long arms at left guard? Like, who is that dude? We want to know more about that guy. Does that mean he's there yet? No. Like, he hasn't played, really a game
right
at at this level. We're confident in Gavin. Kandra has looked really good at right guard. You have a super sub in the middle in Radosevic that can play any of the 3 spots. DeAndre Buford had a rough start to camp. I thought he improved as camp went along, which is not surprising. He was one of the last guys to get here, from the transfer portal. So I feel good about the line. I feel really good about the talent in the wide receiver room. I think Shaman and Peyton Singletary both had solid camps. Emery, look, he wasn't good. Like, just we're being honest, he wasn't great in the spring. Like, there were a couple days in the spring that was like, and those days, I think there was 2 of them. And one of those days, it was in a driving rain where they were still trying, to run their normal passing offense. So I feel confident that the talent level is in place to have a successful offense. The question now becomes, what do we, I think, like both scrimmages, and there were even some practices like this where the offense just took 2 or 3 series to come around. And then once they came around and they got going, well, even as good as this defense is in the Big 12, 2 or 3 series, you can be down 10-0 if your offense is stagnant. So we'll see. Like, but those are still some of the concerns I have. I still think 6, 7. Like, I'm leaning more towards 7 now than I was before camp, where I was kind of in that. I think they'll win 6, 5, 6, get bowl eligible. I'm a little more comfortable bringing 7 into the conversation. And if they click, if the offense goes through 2 games and all of a sudden they're in a good group, then, you roll the dice and see where it goes. But I do think the arrow to get back to the start of this, I do think the arrow from where it was 3 weeks ago is comfortably pointing up.
Trending up, yes.
Yeah.
I would agree.
All right. What else you got? Anything? Nope. All right. We will see you guys tomorrow night. A big BBP. We'll be back with the nightcap. 2 weeks away. We're almost there. This is the nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!